A tactic that I don't think is really talked about as much in grooming is silence. Silence has been a big factor in the way that I have been controlled in the grooming experiences I've went through. Yeah, we'll leave it there. So being silenced, it showed me how to mask myself. It showed me how to disappear, how to make myself shrink as small as possible so I did not exist in a way that it would disturb the people that were in my environment, because they already deemed me a problem. So of course, I can't exist anymore. At least, not without hearing them complain. So at this time, a little story time. At this point in my experience, the most recent silent treatment I experienced lasted 2 years. And it was with the same female and male couple that I spoke about in my last episode. This one happened right after I published my very first book called The Asylum Friends. I was speaking to this male, and the male had made a suggestion on what book I should write next. And at first I politely declined. I was like, hey, thank you so much for the suggestion, but that's not really something in my genre area that I'm interested in writing in. This male has the tendency of trying to have you conform to their thought processes by really driving the point through. So, for instance, with this male and their children, I have witnessed them do hour-long conversations trying to warp and change the perspective of their children. So I wasn't surprised when he tried to do the same with me. However, I did not conform to his process. I did not conform to his thoughts, his opinions. I respected it, but I politely declined. This created a shift, a big shift. Such a big shift that the female ended up talking to me about this situation. And the female explained to me that the male was upset. And because he was upset that I did not agree, the female tried to then say that it wasn't what I said, it was how I said it. So if it was a tone issue, that's fine. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was that he was upset that I didn't conform to his thought process. It wasn't the way that I approached him. But because I wasn't in the wrong, they had to find something to attack. So they attacked my tone. So I was like, okay, well, the male hasn't approached me about this situation. I'm not playing this game of telephone where someone comes up and they tell me that someone has a problem with me instead of them being the adult and taking accountability and wanting to rectify a situation, coming to me personally and talking about it. I am not going to apologize about something that I'm not aware from their mouth they have a problem with. So I'll wait until they come talk to me about it. That's what I wanted to do. However, after that conversation, the female really placed the burden on me to be the one to apologize. She was trying to tell me that I needed to apologize for the situation, that I was in the wrong because of how I approached it. Yet, when others would ask her about this situation, she would tell them that she doesn't really know how my tone was, if I really got loud like he claimed that I did, which I didn't, because she was in the bathroom. So which one is it? Did you hear my tone or did you not? Are you going in defense for your partner because he's your partner? Or are you going in defense because... what's the reason? What's the real reason? I never got that, by the way. So, because of this issue, he put it upon himself to give me a silent treatment, which is something he also has done previously before with other people. So I was like, okay, fine. Now for the grooming, the way that silence is utilized is usually what silence does, it triggers your abandonment wound, or it creates an abandonment wound if you don't have one yet. Because you start to feel like you usually go inward. You're like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why don't they want to talk to me? What did I do? You start to go to those what if questions, right? So it starts to really nitpick at yourself to see why they don't want to talk to you. And then with that silence and that abandonment feeling, you start to crave them because you're like, hey, this is the one person that isn't willing to talk to me, isn't willing to want to be around me, So usually you crave what you don't have. So that's how that grooming technique will start to work in the groomer's favor if it's used on the right one. But in this case, it wasn't, because I didn't give a fuck. I was like, I don't care about your opinion. I'll respect it, but I'm not going to agree with you. So the silent treatment, it didn't bother me per se that it was given from the male. It was when the female took it upon herself to participate in the silent treatment that it really upset me. Because this female would, as soon as the male would come home, she would immediately say, hey, I have to go be with this male. And she would disappear. She'll be gone with him all night, all day, however long he was home for. But once the male would leave, she would then come to me. Now, one thing about this female is that she does not like to be alone. She cannot be alone because she doesn't want to be alone with herself. She's been hiding from herself for all these years. Why would she want to do that? So the next best option is the only other person in the home, me. So the way that she portrays herself is trying to build a bond. So this starts off with talking to me on breaks in between work. More like a coworker vibe, right? And me being me, not knowing, not understanding why she would do these things in regards to trying to pretend like she's building this bond up with me, I continued. I was like, okay, well, maybe this is what it's like. I don't know. Never built a bond with this person before, so let me see. Maybe it is, just chit-chatting in between work and at first I was okay with this. I was like, okay, this is interesting, but then I got more un-okay with it when I would notice that if I walked into a room and they were talking, how dead quiet it would get. How they would both turn to me and they'll just stare at me. How the female would be like, yes, Mia? What is it? It was her tone that bothered me. Her energy that bothered me. None of it was welcoming. None of it showed me that they wanted me there. And it left me feeling ostracized, lonely, uncomfortable in my own skin. And eventually, the uncomfortability in the home and the coldness in that house. It was the coldness that I felt. It really led me to have the most unaliving thoughts towards myself that I think I've ever experienced, to the point that I have come very close. So when I realized that she only reached for me when he was away because of her incapability of being alone with herself, and then also, of course, seeing the treatments, it wasn't just the walking into a room and everything's quiet. It was the way that she looked at me, the way that she spoke to me, the cold energy shift from her completely. And this was from a female who was never supposed to do that, never supposed to treat me like that, was supposed to choose me initially in this situation, should have chose me initially over this situation, should have been proud of me for thinking for myself, for not backing down, not sacrificing my integrity just for someone else to like me in a room that, honestly, their opinion didn't matter. But instead, I was villainized for it. And because I got villainized for it, it made me really go inward more. It made me really think that I was a problem, because it came to the point that I would wait until they would be sleeping for me to, I wouldn't even say comfortably, because I was never comfortable in that house, but in order for me to actually get out of my room and walk around without the thought of bothering someone, bumping into someone, because I didn't want interactions that were filled with so much disgust. There was no warmth there. There was no love there. There was no caring there. It was just cold. So cold. And I know it's still cold there, because I left all of that behind. But it was so disheartening as well, because this is a home that you would think from the outside is filled with so much warmth, but it wasn't. And the silent streaming, they really tried to break me down. And they almost got me. I don't wanna lie. They almost got me with that one. But God was louder, okay? And he always is. So for me, at that point when I was hold on. When I was in my room more, I got the opportunity to start really looking at how my environment made me feel and how I contributed to my environment. Because at that point, I was questioning, am I the problem? What did I do? What was such a wrongdoing that has now cost me 2 years of silence, cold shoulders, disgusting stares, not even wanting to be in the same room or house with me, always having complaints about me when I'm just existing, yet at the same time also having this female trying to be bonding with me. It was very conflicting, very confusing, because one minute you're acting like you hate me, and the next minute you're like, oh my god, you're the best thing ever, and I love you, and of course I'd want to hang out with you. I couldn't imagine hanging with anybody else, but once this man comes in, all of a sudden I'm nothing? That's insane. And that's how it was for 2 years, until someone else called it out, and they were like, oh, yeah, maybe I should stop. And that's what stopped them. It wasn't me saying, hey, I'm uncomfortable, although I voiced it a lot. Actually, every time I voiced the uncomfortability, they said, imagine how uncomfortable I am. I'm in the middle of this. You're in the middle of this? We shouldn't even be in this. But you are choosing a man over me. So what do you think was going to happen? Where else would you be, if not the middle? Dumb bitch. Like, make that shit make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. But in that whole process of sitting in my room, I got to realize that I deserved more. I deserve to be around people who love me. I deserve to be around environments that were not going to make me feel like I wanted to jump out of my own skin. I never wanted to feel that coldness ever again. I wanted to feel so much warmth and love in a home. And safety. And safety. There's so much more I can get into about this. I'm trying to find the best ways to angle it. Like, the way that she allowed this man to truly take over the home is insane. It's insanely scary. Because he got as far as to be able to install cameras around the home, which was supposed to be for our safety, but really it was used for surveillance. Because anytime that I left the house, anytime I did anything, I was then being questioned about it. At my grown adult ass age, 26 years old, being questioned about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it, where I'm going. Quite interesting. quite interesting. Yet these tools are supposed to keep us safe. If they were more used as a weapon towards me, and used as like a way to keep an extra eye out. Maybe the most craziest shit. But don't let people use silence to make you crave them, make you reach out for them, make you chase them. Fuck them. Let them enjoy them in their silence. They don't deserve your company. Find people who do. Find people who are not going to let you sit in silence. They want to be too busy filling it with laughter and smiles and great memories. If you're still here, thank you so much for coming and being vulnerable. I love you. I see you. I'm proud of you.